Hello, everyone. Welcome to the April community call for Hummingbot Foundation. My name is Michael. I'm one of the board of directors. Hope everyone is having a good day. I know it seems to be a volatile day in the markets, but of course, as Hummingbot is a market-making framework, volatility is your friend. So, some highlights that we're going to cover. We're going to go over what's new in the version 2.5 release that was released recently. We've also been publishing a lot of live streams, and we recently productionized the AI trading bot series. And then, of course, we just finished cohort 11 of Hummingbot Botcamp, our educational platform. And so we had some amazing strategy demos that the folks presented yesterday. So, and also we had some really exciting news about upcoming reward programs and new campaigns on Miner of folks that are Chinese community are running in terms of trading competitions, and a new reward program that Botcamp Inc. is running for Ripple, for the Ripple blockchain. So let's get started and let's talk about what's new in the version 2.5 release. So the 2.5 release, I think, is an important one. I think it has a lot of really awesome core upgrades that were merged in. So this pull request status link, you can actually see all the pull requests that were merged into the 2.5 release. And just going quickly, we added this key new feature to the V2 framework called PositionsHeld. This actually allows the V2 framework to really simulate exactly how the V1 pure market making strategies work, because instead of reversing a trade after it's kind of the position executor has reached a time limit, the user can opt to allow the executor to move the assets into a bucket called positions held. And you can use that position held to essentially track your inventory. And depending on what's in there, you can use that to affect what you're doing in other places of the strategy. So I think it just offers market making strategies a lot more flexibility. We're excited to, if you check out like the new PMM controller, you can check out, I think it's called PMM.py in new master branch. And that actually uses the new positions hold feature. So it's actually, I think, generic PMM. We always ask the question is what kind of strategies fit what backtesting frameworks. So the reason we have these different controller-based frameworks is that the backtesting engine currently is designed to fit the market-making controller and the directional trading controller. So currently the generic controllers aren't backtestable out of the box. However, it is possible you can modify it. The other kind of a really big improvement we did in 2.5 was updating the core Python libraries and version to using Python 3.12, updating a lot of the core libraries to use native Conda libraries instead of using pip. We also are using Pydantic v2 now, and we also removed deprecated Telegram integration in favor of a newly supported version, which is in a pull request. Another thing is that the tests are also a lot faster now because they use insync IO, and we also kind of change a lot of we eliminate a lot of the blocking due to incorrectly mocked tests in the past. So there's a lot of really good stuff, and I think in our view, this really modernizes the code base in a way and kind of allows it to use the newest stuff, makes it faster and more reliable. The other kind of more foundational change that Hummingbot is going through is the refactor of the DEX middleware and gateway. So this is an ongoing process because we're trying to kind of change a lot of the route architecture as well as how Hummingbot communicates with gateway. So it's going to probably take another one or two more releases. In the meantime, because we're kind of focusing on Solana to ensure that the new route architecture fits various DEX patterns, we've removed the Ethereum and the other chains and from the newest gateway branch. However, you can still access those old connectors in this Gateway 2.2 branch. And actually, we've designed this version of Hummingbot, which is continually updated, and it's kind of kept in line with the newest versions of Hummingbot, but it's compatible with version 2.2. So the idea is that if you need to use these gateway connectors like Uniswap, Ethereum, until they're upgraded to the new architecture, you can use this Gateway 2.2 branch alongside this Hummingbot fixed Gateway 2.2 branch. And this branch here, it will be updated with the latest Hummingbot features. Question from my dad. My dad said, yeah, he recently set a PR for Ergo Chain and Spectrum DEX. Yeah, this is actually something I mentioned to the Ergo team, I think, when they were submitting that PR. So basically, there's an approval for Ergo to be in the code base. However, the Ergo connector that was created was done so using the old architecture. Actually, the new architecture would be this hydration Polkadot pull request that was submitted by Danilo from the Roboto team. So this one, these guys actually haven't done the governance part. They haven't submitted the approval yet. But once they do, the format of this pull request is it actually fits the new architecture. So once they get approved, we should be able to merge it in with very minimal changes. And in fact, I really appreciate Danilo for doing this because it already allows us, our QA team, to test it and ensure that what we're building is compatible for other chain architectures as well. And it looks like it will be. So I think there are some couple of changes. I think, yeah, like Danilo, if you're on the call, we need to kind of like make sure that the scripts work. But I thank you for doing this because we are trying to make a code base is compatible with all the different chains out there. And I think this one's important. But if you look at these PRs here, we can't merge the Ergo one, I believe this is this one. Actually, you know what? I haven't actually looked at this one. So it's possible you guys actually are using the new architecture. I don't think you are. This looks like it's the old architecture. Hydration improved. Okay, got it. Yeah, so hydration improved. Yeah, so I think the reason we haven't added, I haven't looked at this one because I haven't even added Ethereum. I don't want to merge the hydration one in until we at least get some work done on Ethereum. And the reason I haven't done that yet is because I'm still working on the interface. So just so you guys know, you might have to change some of the stuff in here depending on how the gateway AMM and CLM classes work. I'll mention this in the gateway section, but we're still working on like the actual gateway interfaces to the AMM and CLM classes. I'm glad you guys did this work, but I think there might be some variable name changes, some like schema changes between now and probably like in the next 2 weeks. This pull request is probably like 95% there in terms of interval weighting. So should you wait for the new architecture? Yes, we definitely need a PR in the new architecture. I would say you can probably look at this Polkadot one and kind of like conform your PR to it. I actually think with AI, it should be actually relatively straightforward. The main changes are really just architectural. It's allowing every DEX to have its own routes. So you're not kind of overriding the base routes, but instead you're conforming to a certain schema. If the Ergo chain is in that format and we can kind of like merge it in once we have the schemas like completely published, that'll make our job a lot easier. I think looking at these interface, I believe this is still the older model. So it's kind of like this one is probably compatible with Gateway 2.2 branch, but because we're kind of focusing on the newest branches Gateway, I don't think it would make sense for us to merge this one into 2.2 because we had to test it and everything. I would try to update this pull request according to the standards of the current Solana chain and the Radium connector. And you can look at, I think you can look at the Polkadot and the hydration connectors for like a reference in terms of how a new a chain would be added. The other thing is, I would say, I'm not sure if Ergo, actually another thing is, actually this is important. If Ergo does not require its own native wallet, as in if you can use MetaMask with Ergo, then I think Ergo should use the existing Ethereum chain connector and not add a new chain connector. I believe Polkadot has its own wallet interface. It's not EVM, and therefore it should be added. Yeah, because it's approved, I think it's fine to add the chain connector. As a Hummingbot user and a holder, am uncomfortable, honestly, with adding lots of chains and chain SDKs to the gateway code base. I think it's a huge security vulnerability, and one of the main reasons I would like to use the same Ethereum connector, across the board for as many chains as possible, is because with every JavaScript library we add into the code base, it's additional security risk, especially with a code base where people are keeping those private keys in there. So I would say I do think in the future, honestly, this should be voting for chains in the same way this should be for exchanges, because the more chains we add, the more risk. I think that given the fact that Ergo and Hydration Polkadot have been approved by governance, yeah, I think as long as the pull request matches the new architecture, then we would review and merge it in. But I think we're going to be very careful about library dependencies, because like kind of security vulnerabilities via library injection is probably one of the most concerning kind of attack vectors in crypto today. Going back to this one, yeah. So I think this is an important change, because one of the main things that Gateway has done in this new release is allow for different types of exchange schemas. And so right now, if you look at Gateway currently support 3 types of schemas. Any chain that is created should expose these kind of routes. Like, let's say it's like Ergo, it'll be Ergo status, Ergo tokens, Ergo balances. The important thing is for the connectors, all the DEXs should support this swap schema. And then if you're a different type of DEX like AMM, you should support both swap and, let's say, AMM adding liquidity. If you're CLMM, you should support swapping, as well as adding liquidity at a long range. I think the next schema we're going to add is actually going to be for launch pads, especially now that both Radium and Meteora have published their SDKs for their bonding curve launch pad. So, and I think it's important because now if you look at like where tokens are starting off on this bonding curve launch pads. And so I think once we have that kind of completes like the different, in my opinion, the different like kind of DEX models out there. And then we can finally really scale all the different chains that have all those DEXs. I'm hoping to actually add that in version 2.6. And then with 2.6, we should be able to publish documentation for how community developers can add their own. Overall, I think 2.5 has some really big improvements, because we added lots of stuff to the V2 framework. We improved the core environment upgrade. And shout out to Memento. He actually helped a lot with this upgrade. And we want to kind of like basically really thank all the core contributors who are doing really good work in terms of helping us maintain Hummingbot. And I think Gateway, once we kind of get the core schemas available, I think we'll see a lot more community contribution on the Gateway side as well. Side question from Murdad: should we fork the hydration branch and develop same as them if that is proved, and that architecture is what the community wants? I'm not sure I would fork the hydration branch, because that also might change. My suggestion would be to look at this document here. This should have a step-by-step guide for you to add a new connector. So I would follow this first, Murdad, and you may want to look at, I think, the existing Gateway connectors for a reference in terms of how the architecture works. But I think if you've already built an old architecture and you read through this document, it should be very straightforward. In fact, I would bet that if you pass this document in a cursor or Copilot with your old repo, and then maybe the new Gateway repo, AI can probably do 95%. Because the main thing would change is, really just adding individual routes for each DEX, instead of having the DEX override the same routes. All right, so moving on a bit, another thing we're doing recently is we're trying to do a live stream every Friday on the Hummingbot YouTube channel. This is mostly being run by Fede. So for the last few weeks, he's done this 5-part series on how to build a real AI-based trading strategy using Hummingbot. There's a lot of FUD out there about what AI is and isn't. But in our opinion, AI in trading is really about really using machine learning to find patterns in data and using the signals created and connecting that with an execution engine like Hummingbot. So a lot of what Fede explains here is kind of like really how to do AI from a practitioner standpoint, how to collect the data, how to create the models, how to apply, like LLMs to them, and then finally how to take the signals generated and use them in Hummingbot. So I highly recommend checking this out. As we do more live streams over time, we'll basically take each one and turn them into these YouTube series. To us, like these live streams are a way to kind of push the envelope in terms of what Hummingbot can do and try to show the community what we're working on. One particle says, yeah, we could easily provide a fill-in-the-blank LLM template for people to implement a new connector. Yeah, I would say that I think it's a really good idea. I mean, I would say I think Fede probably has some ideas on how to do that in the collab side. For Gateway, I think it's possible. I think maybe with more examples. One of the challenges that I've run in building the Radium and the Meteor connectors has been that a lot of the issues I'm finding are really related to it's like how the SDK is structured. So it's like, getting the types correct. Like if I send, it's actually just hitting the endpoint with lots of different edge cases to make sure that it's structured. So there's something where I feel like there's that manual testing, which is almost impossible for an AI to do well. There's these nuances in terms of how the SDK works. Like on the gateway side, for example, sometimes I have to wrestle with understanding how the JavaScript dependencies work and all the libraries. So it's like if I weren't a JavaScript dev, it'd be hard to build a really good.
Yeah, just to clarify what I was saying is yes, I think that with LLMs we can streamline the process of building the connector, like make it faster and so. But at the same time, I don't think that those vibe coding is that is not suitable for algo trading because it's at some point you need to validate that works well and is doing the things that it's supposed to do. That you can do it only if you understand coding and you are dev. Making more like an LLM part will help you making the process faster, but we should be careful to avoid, because if not, anyone will publish a connector and suddenly we're going to have connectors that don't work. Actually, I think that a good template with the methods that you need to implement and then working with the documentation with Cursor is right now building connectors is much more faster than before. It's not something that an LLM can do all at once. I think it will fail a lot.
What I'm trying to do is make the documentation better, create more examples. So hopefully, even if you're a dev, you can use LLMs to just make your life easier. Overall, Fede and I we're looking to use AI better. Yeah, helping the community use Hummingbot, helping us maintain Hummingbot. Moving on a bit, so I want to announce a couple of results from our recent governance polls. So one of them was the annual board of directors election. So we do this every year. We elect a 5-person board. Board it's really kind of serving on a nonprofit board. The directors aren't paid, but they control the code wallet that holds all the HBot treasury. The goal of the board is really to oversee the staff of the foundation, make sure that the staff is doing the job correctly of administering the maintenance, administering the governance of the foundation, and overall trying to look out for the interests of the HBot holders. I've been on the board for the last 3 years, 3 times, and I'm honored to be selected again. The other folks, Brett is from Initialized Capital, one of the lead VC who funded Hummingbot. He holds a lot of Initialized, and Brett holds a lot of HBot tokens, but he's also a huge supporter of open source. So Brett also is going to join the board again next time. I want to give a big shout out and thanks to Huang, who served in the last 2 cycles. He didn't make the top 5. His colleague Mike from Roboter, also a longtime community member, is part of the board. So I want to congratulate Mike and DipFit. So congratulations, DipFit, for joining the board. And also Federico, the CTO of Hummingbot Foundation, is also going to join the board. And I think Fede is an important member of the board because he's the one doing a lot of the heavy lifting from an engineering standpoint. And so ensuring that he is able to have a voice is important. Last but not least, I also want to congratulate Dom, is a longtime community member. He's started and still maintains the Hummingbot community for the Chinese community. And I think he's been really instrumental in helping Hummingbot access the Chinese market. And so having him on the board is awesome. Overall, this year, I think now that Hummingbot is in a more kind of called sustainable place from a business model and like economic direction, I think the board this year is really, all of us, I think, are excited about finding ways to grow the value and the utility of the HBOT token. So, we'll have think about some ideas and work with the community to propose different various ideas. But overall, I think we can really look to, try to grow the reach of Hummingbot and ensure that the token is kind of has value and is used in the ecosystem. The other big change was in the governance system. So we approved a couple of changes in the way that the governance system is run. The first big change was simplifying the exchange governance. So one of the main use cases of HBOT is to decide which exchanges the code base should support and how much bandwidth maintenance budget is allocated to them. Previously, there were 3 polls, one for each type of exchange, but it kind of made the allocation of resources kind of unwieldy because sometimes exchanges spot and perp, it's really about supporting the exchange type. So in the new system, there will only be 1 poll for all the exchanges. The users can just decide which exchanges should be in the code base, and they'll allocate the HBOT pots to those. We've also increased the connector inclusion threshold. So each exchange in every quarterly poll will now need to get 400,000 HBOT votes or more in order to stay in the code base in future releases. The current threshold is 200, and we're ready for 400. I think when we first set the threshold, the HBOT price was something like 0.5 cents. Now it's like 0.1 cents. And so obviously we can't control the market price. So I think increasing the HBOT level in real dollar terms, the threshold still has meaning is an important change. I'm also gratified the community approved a few kind of HBOT budgets for us. And this allows us to really allocate this HBOT, where it's going to grow attention and improve the code base. So we allocated 18 million maintenance budget. Some of this is allocated by the exchange pools, and the other part will be allocated by the foundation to general developer bounties. Importantly, we added this buyback mechanics clause that the proposal included because we think it's important that we prevent HBOT from the price from just kind of going to zero, because if it goes to zero, then obviously these developer bounties aren't going to have any value. In order to make sure that the supply of HBOT matches demand, the foundation will basically buy back any bounty amount that is distributed. So what that means is if we distribute, let's say, 9 million in HBOT bounties, we will also buy back 9 million HBOT from the open market. So we enacted this for all 3 of these. Basically any HBOT we give out, whether it's maintenance or support budget or trading competitions, the foundation will conduct the same buyback mechanics to ensure that we buy back the same amount. And so hopefully that will kind of ensure that the HBOT token continually has value in the future. And we want to work with the community to find ways to grow that value. One note though is that we haven't created the exchange polls for Q2, in part because unfortunately Snapshot, the platform we use for doing the voting, implemented the premium plan, where in order to have more than 20 choices in a poll, we have to pay them an upgrade. This plan is pretty expensive. It's $600 a month or $6,000 a year just to add more than 20 choices in a poll. So we're currently evaluating whether it makes sense to actually pay Snapshot or if there's other options we can evaluate. Unfortunately, it seems like migrating to a different platform will not be any less expensive. In fact, it might even be more expensive in the long run, because both Tally and Aragon are other. We could also develop our own voting system. I think will also be a huge distraction. Other options, we could split the poll. Yeah, then we're kind of going against what the community voted on. So yeah, I'm not sure. I just don't know how to make 3 polls do the same job as 1 poll. My inclination right now, happy to discuss with the community and think differently. I feel like because the foundation has lots of things going on, it might be better just to pay a snapshot for an annual plan and revisit in a year. And hopefully in 1 year's time, there's other options for voting that doesn't require us to pay $6,000 a year. I would say, yeah, as someone who's done enterprise level migrations, yeah, you don't want to mess with it. We haven't decided yet. We're still evaluating. So yeah, a couple other announcements. We just finished cohort 11 of Botcamp. Botcamp is the official certification program of Hummingbot. Basically, we had sessions every day for about 3 weeks. We just published this YouTube video. Some of the videos that the strategy that people created in this cohort were absolutely amazing. And we're blown away by how much the students in this cohort utilize the newest features in Hummingbot. From the Radium connector to the PMM controller, using the PositionsHeld feature. But yeah, we're just really grateful that the students were able to use the newest, most advanced features of Hummingbot and create their own custom strategies in only a few weeks. We've started to add individual strategy videos. This one actually won. Check those out. Hedge Doge is a strategy that finds new meme coins on Solana, tries to use AMMs to hedge them. And the leader follower strategy was one that basically tries to use kind of like the idea of lagging versus leading coins to implement more like a directional stat arb type strategy. Well, that's videos for the other 7 strategies here as well. We think that these demo day videos do a great job of showcasing what's possible with Hummingbot. A bunch of folks get certified, and overall, we're going to do this again, probably September with cohort 12. We'll have the registration page for cohort 12 pretty soon. Overall, I think this 2 cohort per year cadence makes a lot of sense because it means we can aggregate students. We had over 30 people in this cohort. We're aiming for hopefully 40 or 50 in the next one, because we think having the energy of more folks in the cohort making sure that everyone is learning a lot. Another thing we're going to be doing is adding more courses to Botcamp. So Botcamp right now, there's courses and there's cohorts. Courses, there's currently 4 courses. There's intro to algo trading, market making strategies, cross-exchange market making, and then one on the new V2 framework. We're actually formulating a couple. One of them is called Backtesting Optimization. And then I think we'll also roll out probably another one called DEX Arbitrage LP Strategies. So these 2 are kind of work in progress. We'll try to get them rolled out probably around the time of the cohort 12 course. And another thing we're excited about is working with community members to create their own courses. We know that a lot of folks in the community have expertise in various trading strategies. We're already talking to a couple of community members who are using Hummingbot in their own trading. They're going to kind of create these kind of courses as well, kind of do a revenue share with them. So if you're interested in creating these kind of Botcamp courses, please let me or Fede know. We'd like to kind of get more of these courses here so that we can really showcase what's possible with Hummingbot, but also showcase the individual kind of strategies. Strategy types we're looking for are ones like like arbitrage, like grid strategies, stat arb, like things like that. So if you're interested, let us know. I think we'll try to add these very general strategies that just explain like a theory, but we're interested in more kind of like fine-grained community takes on strategies as well. Last but not least, I wanted to cover an area of Hummingbot that I think everyone is interested in, which is how can I make more money running Hummingbot. We're starting to see more of these external reward programs that people can do with Hummingbot, especially since Botcamp is actually going to be running one for So I want to just cover all the new kind of initiatives that our reward program partners have launched every time in these communities. Let me start with Miner. A Miner is a platform operated by Hummingbot's original parent company, Coin Alpha. So this is where you can run Hummingbot and earn market-making rewards from various token issuers on various exchanges. Platform's been running for over 5 years now, giving out weekly reward pools. And you can see there's always lots of bots running, generating a good amount of volume, providing liquidity. This may not sound like a huge amount of volume, but note that these are not on BTC. These are on kind of small to medium token pairs. Provide liquidity to these smaller token pairs, but you can earn pretty hefty yields if you're able to bear the risks. Recently, there's been a couple of long-time extensions. One is the extension for Decred, one of the longest, oldest tokens in crypto. They're doing a 48-week liquidity mining campaign on Binance. So that means that you can basically earn Decred rewards for providing liquidity using Hummingbot on Binance through Miner for the next 1 year. And because it's such a long extension, it allows kind of market makers to kind of plan ahead a little bit, and kind of build a strategy that they know will have consistent rewards for a long time. Similarly, there's also another extension for Beefy Finance. Beefy has been around for a good long time. I think they're a DeFi, a yield player. There's also in Binance. So both the Beefy campaign and the Decred campaign are good ones to check out if you're interested in running Hummingbot, earning a share of this reward pool for a while. Overall, I think liquidity mining, this platform hasn't grown as much as as much as Coin Alpha and I would have liked. However, I think it's a testament to the need for liquidity that it's been running for 5 years, consistently providing thousands of dollars in rewards. Another one I want to highlight is trading competition that was put on by Dom earlier. So this link here explains how it worked. Basically, there's like a trading competition where users earn rewards based on both volume and P&L. So I think he had the rankings over here. It looks like the winners, each person generated quite a bit of volume, maker amounts in the millions. I do want to highlight the competition because I think Dome has done an amazing job growing the community. Or another reward program I want to highlight is the one that is run by Derive. So Derive is one of the newest connectors coming on Codebase. Recently, both Spot and the perpetual connectors were added. To celebrate that, Derive has launched a Hummingbot and Derive exchange connector campaign. If you connect to Derive using Hummingbot, sign up and just run a strategy. Once your bot generates at least $150 in fees, you'll get some reward back. And I think this reward, I believe, is actually larger than the fee. So I think 100 OP, I believe, is more than $25, and 400 OP is larger than 150. I think this program is a good way for new traders to learn how to trade on a perp DEX and not to worry about fees as much. One note is that there are some changes, some tweaks to the Derive connector. I highly recommend running the development branch of Hummingbot because this pull request was recently merged into Hummingbot. Referral code also has a fix, I believe. And finally, I do want to just give a quick shout out. We're going to be running this campaign called XRP Liquid program. What is XRP Liquid? It's a rewards program for Hummingbot users who are running their bots on the XRP ledger blockchain. It's a reward program kind of similar to Miner in that you'll be rewarded for your transaction volume. What's unique is that this program uses all the features of the Ripple blockchain. So tracks your activity on the blockchain itself. The rewards and how you claim them will all be done natively. So you'll connect using your Ripple wallet. This is a preview of what it looks like. We'll be running closed beta starting in the next probably 2 weeks. We'll have some information for the Hummingbot community. But overall, I think these reward programs are an important section to call out on each community call because we're seeing more and more trading competitions, reward programs from various exchanges that our users want to participate in. Another thing is I want to mention Bounties. Just like our pull request board, we list the bounties, basically the real-time status of the bounties in this bounties board here. I should actually add this link over here. Let's add that link. Okay. Yeah, so you always check this bounties board, but recently, because with every release, we pay bounties to developers who work on the bounties. Recently, we paid out bounties for Bybit and Bybit Perpetual. We paid Derive, an update to Bitmart Spot, as well as API updates to Bybit Perpetual and Spot. We do have some pending bounties as well. In recognition, we've allocated 700 USDC bounty to Memento for his contributions in helping with the core environment upgrade, migration to Binary V2, and other changes that were needed. Thank you very much, Memento, for your contribution. We do have a few that are in progress. We have 2 XRPL bounties, but we will be opening more bounties soon. After the Gateway 2.6 branch is published, we will open and assign bounties for adding and upgrading the legacy connectors like Uniswap, PancakeSwap, and so forth. Finally, I want to cover briefly some of the issues that the user base has been reporting on Discord and on GitHub. So we try to support users in both Discord and GitHub the best we can. However, given that Hummingbot is a growing code base, we're adding new features all the time. It can be hard to provide like kind of the support in the same way that a large company could on Discord. So we try to use this opportunity to highlight some of the issues people have been having and just try to provide answers so the community can hopefully get the most common questions answered in this call. If you look at this part of the agenda, it has information on how you can ensure that you're always using the latest version. For example, you may want to remove the old content environment or use the uninstall command and then add it again. Similarly, for Gateway, because we're changing things every release, you probably have to run the setup command. We actually do monitor the support channel and other channels in Discord and try to answer questions, especially if it pertains to bugs in code base. Yeah, it's hard for us to answer every question. We have still a lot of people who are trying to use Gateway and not finding the old connectors in the newest version. That's actually why we have the section for the new gateway and the section for the legacy gateway. This will show you step by step how to install the older version gateway. Another question that people have had is they said, does anyone know why dashboard doesn't show properly in the directories? Because there's multiple repos here, it can be hard to figure out what the cause for an issue like this is. If you're seeing errors in dashboard, because it's just a front end, it could be because the backend API is down or exited. Some advice here that Ralph put that might be helpful if you are having kind of issues. For example, you could try doing Docker compose down and then also Docker compose up again. You can also run Docker logs backend API. The Docker logs command shows you the logs for a particular container. So this might help you troubleshoot if your actual API is running or if some issue with the dashboard itself. With dashboard, we realize there's probably a lot of improvements we can make in terms of dashboard and how easy it is for users to get set up. Sometimes it's always a struggle between us should we work on the more advanced features or do we make Hummingbot as easy as possible to use? So lately, we've been focusing more on the advanced features in order to really upgrade the core functionality and expand to more chains, more exchanges. However, I think later on this year, we likely will be introducing more ways that you can use Hummingbot more easily through dashboard, through Telegram, and through other things. Finally, I do want to kind of highlight a couple of active GitHub issues that our team is looking at. Here are some open issues. One of them, there are some connection issues. If you are seeing kind of connection issues on Docker, I'll take a look at the discussion. I think a lot of these kind of networking kind of issues are hard to reproduce. Here's an issue related to Hyperliquid. Orders submitted from sub account are created to main account. QA reported the issue, and the maintainer is currently reviewing. Here's an issue related to OKX perpetual. This one also I believe we've passed it in. We actually might create a bounty for this one in the future. And finally, there isn't a known issue with the Hummingbot broker. So the broker is the service that the bot uses to communicate between bots and dashboard and vice versa. There is an issue where after a certain amount of time, the broker needs to be restarted because the connection becomes unresponsive. This is likely because the broker service was created by a community member. We may have to upgrade the broker in order to fix this issue in the future. We do try to monitor all the issues that people submit on Hummingbot. It can be, a game of whack-a-mole because there's so many exchanges, so many strategies, as well as the core client itself. We do try to at least notify the community and try to improve the code base over time through bounties. I think that's pretty much it for the community call today. Next month, I think some of the reward programs are probably going to be live, and I think we'll have even more information about in 2.6. I think there's a lot of gateway changes coming in 2.6. I think the next release is scheduled for around the last week of May. So we'll probably do the same call, around the last week of May as well. Bye, everyone. Have a great month and happy trading.